for October the 16th, and I just have a couple items to bring up here. The electronics, if you have them, if you'd shut those off so they don't interfere with the meeting, please. We have two absent council members. They're both on vacation this week, Councillor Bjorkman and Councillor Larry Snively. And at this time, it gives me great pleasure to tell you something about one of our staff members. The appointment of the Director of Finance and Business Services. Tonight I am pleased to announce the appointment of Jeffrey Morrison as Director of Finance and Business Services and Treasurer for the Town of Essex. Jeff joined the Town of Essex in 2012 as Manager of Finance and Business Services. Over the past 5 years, he has been instrumental in developing our asset management plan, our 5-year financial plan, and a new budget document that dovetails with the asset management program. As required, he has served as Deputy Treasurer, Acting Director of Corporate Services, and most recently as Acting Director of Finance and Business Services since May 2017. Prior to joining the town, Jeff served as financial analyst for the municipality of Leamington and financial and budget analyst with the City of Toronto. He is a chartered professional accountant, CPA, CGA, and holds a Bachelor of Commerce honors from the University of Windsor and an executive diploma in municipal management through the Association of Municipal Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario, MCTO. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Morrison on his new appointment. And at this time, I would invite your family to come on down. We're going to have a picture taken with Daddy, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
At this time, I would ask our newly appointed CAO, Donna Hunter, former treasurer, for a few comments.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's with great pleasure that I welcome Jeffrey to the senior management team in his new role as Director of Finance and Business Services. Jeff's worked hard in the 5 years he's been with us, not only to complete his CGA, CPA, but he's also spent a lot of time with me learning the role, and I think he's more than equipped to take it on at this point. I think this is just another example of us preparing our staff for an opportunity to fill another position within the organization. Hopefully it's always one that's above where they were before. And I just got to say, I think this is going to be a lot of fun as a senior management team, and I truly look forward to working with you. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Vogt. Former mayor. Just the mayor? Okay, at this time, I'll ask if there's any declarations of conflict of interest amongst the council members. Okay, thank you for that, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Roger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Adoption of published agenda for this evening meeting. Any amendments or changes to the adopted agenda?
Mrs. Hunter?
Through your worship, I'd like to just quickly discuss the constituent open houses for later this fall, if I may.
For that, is there anything else from any of the council members? No? Okay, thank you very much. Looking for their motion to adopt and support. Deputy Mayor Malosh moves, supported by Councillor Vokes. Questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 5 on the agenda is adoption of minutes, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held October 2nd be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Vokes. Questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, our first public presentation this evening is Mr. Ernie Lamont. Mr. Lamont comes to us this evening with two proposals, one concerning a bus service to Devonshire Mall and the other concerning a casino and private hospital proposal.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Lamont.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. I would like to start off tonight by saying to you, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to make this presentation. In the future, I guess Transit Windsor is going to come before you and ask you to move in the direction they would like for you to work with them to start a county bus service. But you know, in the past, I've been here about 2 or 3 times to promote my idea that Transit Windsor now is going to move forward on. So when I went to Tecumseh last week, they kind of liked my idea, but they note and file, so probably you'll do the same tonight. But what I'm showing you here tonight is I don't want the town of Essex to be short on getting money from Transit Windsor when it comes to the advertising of the 2 buses that probably they'll ask Essex to buy. And if you look at the revenue that I've presented to you tonight, you'll see that 2 buses with 260 ads per year will bring in $225,000 per year. What I'm doing, I'm giving Essex 75% of total advertising that I sell on the bus. So when Transit Windsor comes to you and says, we would like you to move on our program, the town of Essex will have an opportunity to say, well, here, we have a gentleman who's willing to give us 75% of the revenue from advertising. What are you going to do for us? So what this does tonight for everyone attending is to give you some financial information so the town of Essex is not short-lived. Also, when you think about a transit service in Essex, you need bus shelters at all bus stops if you're going to do this professional. And advertising has to be a big part of it. So the advertising from the buses could pay for all the shelters at all the bus stops with advertising with solar panels on roof so it's lighted at night. So all I'm saying to you tonight is when I made a presentation here tonight, I'm going to Kingsville tomorrow, Leamington, not tomorrow, but next week. And Leamington is not going to come on board until Windsor approaches them. But the opportunity for have a transit service from Leamington to Devonshire Mall is going to be in the works within 1 year. So when Transit Windsor comes here to Essex, you'll have some ammunition to give them to say, here, Ernie Lamont's willing to give you 75% of the advertising. What are you going to give? And that's the end of my presentation on the bus service. If you have any questions, I'll answer them.
Okay, any questions or comments from the council members? With Councilor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Ernie, what's your intent to contribute towards the buses? What is your intent to contribute towards the buses?
Well,
You're on.
my intention is to sell the advertising on the buses, and to turn over 75% of the revenue would work out to $225,000 per year to the town. So now, the buses cost $500,000 each. So in 4 years, the buses are paid for. 4 years, the buses are paid for, and then some of the money every year could go into bus shelters, so the people don't have to stand in the rain if you're going to start a bus service in Essex. I think it's a win-win for Essex. When Transit Windsor comes to you, you'll have something to work with. And when you look at my proposal here tonight, the town of Essex benefits 100%.
So Ernie, how do we keep you close to our side for guidance? Because I'm going to tell you why.
I know I'm not deaf, so speak up a little bit louder.
I asked, how do we keep you close to our side for guidance? And I'll tell you why. Prior to you distributing these news articles, as I sidebarred with you, I remember very clearly in the later 80s, at that time, you had proposed to the city of Windsor a casino. And in that proposal of the casino, in all due respect to you, people thought you'd fell out of your tree. And look where we are today. And that idea, Ernie, I like giving credit where credit is due. That idea was yours. And you carried the torch on that. And now you're carrying the torch on a city bus idea, coming to the regional area to help seniors get into Windsor, that through your financial breakdown or financial thoughts, it's something we need. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to make sure, Ernie, you're part and parcel in talking to us and continue to talk to us about getting regional busing in the area and what processes we could use to drive the cost down. Because it's long overdue. I got the utmost respect for you, Ernie. I truly do. I truly do. So with that being said, I'll turn over to the rest of council for their views.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comment.
You're more than welcome. You're that unsung hero, Ernie.
Okay, Councilor Bundy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming tonight. I just have a question. I'm trying to wrap my mind around everything that you're proposing here. Are you proposing an alternative to Transit Windsor, saying that the town of Essex could do it by themselves separately with this funding model, and we could have two buses? Is that what you're proposing?
I would like to say that if Leamington, Kingsville, and Essex were to get together with 6 buses, that'd be running 3 buses each to Devonshire Mall. And if these 3 towns agree to work with me, we don't need Transit Windsor. Because really, it would be better to hire 6 bus drivers from Essex, 2 from Essex, 2 from Kingsville, 2 for Leamington, and give the people that are in the community a job at $21 to $30 an hour. That would make more sense. And when I make my second presentation, you'll see that this is going to be very viable for the 3 communities. To me, it's a win-win. Sure, every community is going to be asked for 2 buses. So why not take the average? All businesses are going to jump on board with this, because what they'll do is that they'll buy an advertising, and what they'll do is they'll offer people to come into their business to buy something, and offer them a token so they can ride the bus free. And we have an Essex paper, we have a Leamington paper, we have a Kingsville paper. These people will amalgamate together and put out a flyer to be distributed on the bus. And in that flyer will be coupons so people can come into their store to buy and get a token to ride the bus free. So when we go to Windsor, the only thing you have to negotiate with Transit Windsor is to transfer from one bus to another, and from Transit Windsor back to our bus line. And to me, the buses are brand new for at least a lot of years. And basically, Essex would be the hub to have your own bus station right in Essex. It's a win-win for the three communities. And when you look at the 75% revenue, like I'm a 70-year-old man. Do I need 25%? No. I could probably work on 10%. I'm not looking at the big buck, but still, I mean, there's dollars to be made. And if I have to give 90% to this, to do this, I will do it. It would be great for me because I'm the first one that came here 3 or 4 years ago and presented this idea to County Council. Thank you.
Further to that, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So I think if council's going to take a look at this, I see this as the CAOs of the three communities meeting after you've gone to every council and see how we can work on a feasibility plan for it. It's a big idea, right? But you have to start somewhere, and in getting commitment from each council that they want to see regional transportation is one thing. I would say, unfortunately, you're here on a night when we're missing 3 council members. That's unfortunate, because I'd really like to see how the balance of council feels about this, because it's such a big issue. Even though it could appear to be lucrative, there's an initial investment that we would have to, make a decision on, and we'd have to find money for that. I'm up to having the conversation. I would like to have the conversation with the balance of council at some point. But thank you.
Can I just say one thing to you? You know something, really? This transit service could start immediately. If all the 3 municipalities would agree with me, what we could do as baby steps is to lease 2 buses or just 3 buses from Transit Windsor, allow them to do a temporary run into all 3 communities, just to see if the support is there, sell the advertising in a brochure, not on the buses, but in a brochure, to offer this service. And I think that this would give all 3 municipalities a window to say, hey, this is a great idea. So it could happen.
Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Thank you, through your worship, Mr. Lamont. So I'm looking at this looks great if we sold 100%. I just want to know a little bit about your experience in selling ads. Are you with an ads agency, or you do this on your own? Have you had some experience in selling ads?
Sir, Richard, I am probably one of the best salesmen in Essex County. I believe in myself. I have 100% vision. I think outside the box. I've been doing advertising on my vehicle since 1985. I had a brand new 1985 Ford van. I sold $30,000 worth of advertising on it within a period of 3 weeks. I do have an advertising on my van now that I've been doing since 1985, so 33 years of advertising. I've sold advertising on probably every restaurant in Essex County on placemats that I've done throughout Essex. I did the Spitfire calendar. When they came to me, they said, Ernie, you think you can do it? And I did it. I did advertising on all the bowling alleys in Essex County for 5 years until they went to the telescores. So Ernie Lamont's got all the experience and the know-how to put this all together. And I have Doug Smith Signs in Windsor, who has the capabilities of doing the murals on the buses and everything. So I have all the tools at my disposal to do this job 100% and to benefit all three municipalities. And if we could get all 7 municipalities on board, we'd be a winner and don't have to worry about Transit Windsor. Because Transit Windsor is not going to give you 75% of the advertising on the buses. When you look at the overhead bus advertising inside the bus, outside the bus, and plus a newspaper flyer to be distributed on the bus, Transit Windsor will not offer you as much as I'm offering you tonight. And take this to the bank. You can do it on your own, the county. The county can have their own bus service, hire 2 people or whatever you need from each municipality to run the bus service. You hire mechanics from your own municipalities, and I'll tell you, you'd have a winner all the way to the bank, and I'm willing to work with you 100%. And I'm the best. There ain't nobody better than me. I'm going to tell you a little bit, just one thing about me.
Okay, Ernie, we're running out of time here.
Okay, I'm
so
sorry, go ahead. I'm
I've had
sorry.
enough stories.
I just meant-
I just want you to answer the questions, and you've done a good job up till now, so
Okay.
we'll stick there. Deputy Mayor
Sorry,
Ross.
sir.
So thank you. That tells me a bit about your resume as far as, selling ads and that, because you'd want somebody who's had some experience. Just as a general note to council as well, county council looked at this as Mr. Lamont had led that conversation to that point, and we did look at it. Even with the ads and so on, it was going to be approximately a 10 to 11% increase in property taxes with all the operations, paying people to operate the buses, general repair of the buses, storage for the buses, everything added together. You'd have to hire a person to operate the overall administration of the buses. In total, it was about a 10 to 11% increase in property taxes to all residents in the county at that time about 4 or 5 years ago. It was something that everybody on county council wanted. We just couldn't, the increase in property taxes was just too much. And the service was very, very limited. As Mr. Lamont is suggesting, it was one bus line running up number 3 highway. It wouldn't even come into the town of Essex. You'd have to make sure you got out to number 3 in Arnertown line. So you'd have to walk from in town out there, even on the middle of the winter, in the middle of the night. That's where the bus would pick you up. And the same with Leamington and Kingsville. It wouldn't be circulating through the town or anything. It was just like a one drop, one stop pickup. And there was one bus that went towards Tilbury, one bus that went up towards Amherstburg. And it's still, with minimal coverage, it was still a very expensive endeavor. So we'd have to take a really good look at it and make sure that we can cover our costs with it. So thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, thanks, sir. I just have a couple comments. Ernie, there's no doubt in my mind you could do it. No doubt whatsoever. I've seen what you've done down through the years, and, I kind of a supporter of yours. This Amazon outfit that's possibly coming to the city, they're talking about a bus line. Is this the same discussion that Transit Windsor would have with us, or is this would be the third one? Yourself, the Amazon people, bus service, and the city would that be 3, or is the city and the Amazon one package?
Well, can I respond?
I'm asking you that question.
Here's what the county's going to do.
No, my question was,
You got to speak up, Mayor.
okay, you have a proposal here tonight. Do it ourselves. Forget about Windsor. Windsor has coming to us, you said early, Windsor's coming to us. Going to ask us to do this regional transportation. Is that the same group of people that are going to come to us should we get the Amazon business in Windsor and Detroit, or are they the same package? That's all I need to ask.
Well, listen, Transit Windsor's, if Amazon comes and they get the go-ahead to do this in Windsor, Drew Dilkins is going to be coming to you with Transit Windsor to say, now, are you on board? Now, when they say you're on board, Transit Windsor is going to give you a package, financial package, is so much money. I'm saying to you tonight, Mayor, you have some tools with this to say to Transit Windsor, we want 75% of the revenue. If not, we have a gentleman that's willing to give it to us. If they're going to give you 75%, you're a winner all the way to the bank, to Hope County. If they don't give you 75%, you walk away.
Okay, I've got that. And we have already committed to being interested if they get that package. They've
Right.
already approached us, and we said we would be interested. All of us, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, thanks. And I know that if you were to go out and get this kind of money promised to you, that we're going to have this, then we would look at it a little harder, you know, be a little more focused that you do have this money. It's not a chance of you getting these ads. If you come to us and say, I've got this much and here's what you're going to get, that's a heck of a lot better than, can Ernie do it? That's all I'm going to say.
Wait, and I'm going to respond to you. If you're willing to give me the opportunity tonight, I will go to your municipality and get the 260 ads I need to put the advertising in them buses. Are you willing to do that tonight?
I don't believe so. We need to discuss this a little further, as Deputy Mayor Malai said. It's
Well,
just
I
not,
understand.
you know, that's only my comment, though. So anyways, I'm going to ask any other questions, Mr. Lamont. Well, he's got, that's only half of his thing. We took up half his time by opening up for questioning. Your other issue, sir, please.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to read off the script because I don't want to mislead you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Note, Niagara Falls has 2 casinos. Tonight is a very important night for Ernie Lamont, who introduced casino gambling in Windsor November 25th, 91, to create 50,000 casino jobs and spin-off jobs in Ontario, who all pay taxes, and all casino pay taxes to the hometown like Windsor, $6 million a year, plus 4 checks a year from profits. Now, I want your endorsement tonight in writing to go to Queen's Park and OLG to ask them to grant me the opportunity on behalf of the town to be the home of a second casino in Essex County. This casino will create 1,500 jobs plus 750 spin-off jobs plus pay taxes to the town of Essex around $3 million a year in property taxes plus 4 checks from profits each year. The OLG and Queen's Park have done well with my vision and positive attitude to create a tourist attraction for all Ontario border cities. The casino will be one of a kind with the 747 jumbo jet liner on top of the casino at the entrance to be used as a tourist attraction with the casino dining experience. All this mega project will be on the Essex bypass with a new 4-lane highway from Windsor to Leamington to be built by the Liberal government on around about 100 acres with free parking, plus to be joined in the future that I see vision a $500 million hospital, Cedar Point look-alike amusement park, plus an aquarium to create another 3,000 jobs that pay taxes. Essex will be in the construction boom, giving out building permits for homes and etc. This is a win for all wineries, craft beers to promote their business close to this mega project. With a new countywide bus service, Essex will be the destination for a hospital with the best doctors with offices inside the complex. the best RN nurses, support staff with operations within 2 to 3 weeks, not a year. There will be enough operating rooms and recovery. My goal is to ask all Essex County residents to support this new mega project when approved, to pay $30 a week, but receive free parking free barbershop, hairdressing, nails and spa for giving. All the money above pays wages, benefits, vacations, and to make improvements in the future, make this a world destination. To close, Mayor and Council, I would like a yes vote tonight to proceed to Queen's Park, OLG, and Ottawa to have the whole mega project complete and paid for by the above. The federal government gets income tax off everybody who works in the casino operations, plus all the spin-off jobs. I plan to run for public office in Windsor in 2018, and I will endorse this project 100% when I'm elected. Thank you. Now, note, what do you have to lose tonight? I am doing all the work to make Essex a better place to be. I imagine a new fire, police, ambulance, on premises, new construction, and schools. A win-win for Essex. So tonight, that's all I'm asking you, Mayor and City Council, is to give me a yes answer tonight, no different than when I approached City Council in 1991 in Windsor. They turned me down that night, but now we have a casino, but I'm not going to kiss any of you tonight, but that's all I'm asking you is that I feel that I come here with vision, positive attitude to make Essex a better place to be. And listen, if Niagara Falls can have 2 casinos in their jurisdiction in a border city, there's no reason why Essex County, Essex, Ontario, cannot have a second casino in this area. Now, can you imagine the spin-off jobs, the construction boom in Essex, a new Bruce Crozier 4-lane highway from Leamington to Windsor? This is what Essex needs. Right now, Essex is here.
Okay, you've gone by the 5 minutes, so I'll give you about 30 seconds to wrap it up, Ernie, please.
Okay, Mayor, I'm done.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Councilor Vokes?
Thank you for that presentation, Ernie. I like your energy and your proactive approach to stuff, but I want to go on record in terms of...
Could you speak up, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said I like your proactive approach, Ernie, to stuff and your enthusiasm to get things done. I think it's extremely healthy, and there's not enough of that going on, to be quite frank with you. But I just want to go on the record and say one thing in terms of our community. We do have new schools, we do have a new fire hall, and we do have a new ambulance service. But I'll take the revenue, Ernie, and launch it to another initiatives. But I want to go on the record in terms of what we're doing as a council in relationship to emergency services to our community, and certainly that of education. So it's there, Ernie. So, but I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I'm not discarding your idea by no means. We could use a hospital. As a matter of fact, I lobbied for the hospital, the mega hospital, to go at County Road 8 and number 3, and we didn't win that one. We scored very well, just for the record, just so you know. The town of Essex rose to the occasion at this time, and Russ Phillips was the CAO during that time period, and the score they gave us was significant and high, very high, by the way. But for whatever reason, they opted to go where they went, and they went there, and that's not our place to challenge. We got to respect what they done, but the County Road 8 and number 3 has some good opportunities, and this may be one. Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you, Councilor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When the time is right, I'd like to make a motion to, as well, to receive the presentation. But to your comment, Mr. Lamont, about the casino, I personally can't possibly endorse a large-scale project such as a casino without any public consultation. So right now, that's where I sit. Council would have to agree to have some form of public consultation before I would endorse it.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Moore.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. And And I just want to say, Ernie, too, that we don't have our full complement of council here tonight either. I love your passion, too. It's, you've got a great attitude about life and getting things done. I really like that. But I think right now, this is not something that I'd be ready to commit to this evening. First time I'm hearing it, needs to sink in a little bit before I'd be able to pass judgment on it and decide whether, but I'd really like to have full council debate on something that huge.
Can I respond?
You can.
What I would like to say to you, Richard, is that why don't you give me an opportunity to come back one more time when all the council's here so I can readdress you? And even though when they turned me down in 1991 at City Hall, they took my idea and I gave the information to Bill Doherty, who in his office on Patillo Road the next day after I was turned down, and they ran with it with the NDP, and they ran with the union so they could get the union dues for the employees, and I was shunned out of this. This time, I'm not asking for nothing. I'm asking for something to improve Essex, Ontario's lives, and really give me the opportunity to come back, present what I did tonight in front of everybody, and then give me a yes or no answer. You're not losing nothing. I'm the one that's going to do all the work. I'm the one that's flying to Queen's Park. I'm the one that's going to the OLG. I'm the one that's going to go to Ottawa. These people owe me all the money to build this complete project. You look at, if I wouldn't have introduced casino gambling in Windsor in 91, there'd be no casinos in Ontario. There'd be no 50,000 jobs. There wouldn't be no spin-off jobs. There wouldn't be a building boom in Ontario. In our city of Windsor, we had no vision in 91. That mayor and city council we had, they had their heads in the sand. So that's all I'm saying here
If I
tonight.
may, Ernie,
Give me an
Ernie,
opportunity to come back.
Listen, okay. You said that 2 or 3
Well, I
times.
know, Mayor,
I
but-
know how passionate you
I
are.
want
but
this.
I know, but we have a meeting to get through here too. So I hear you. So Deputy Mayor Malash, anything further?
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, Ernie, we all know how passionate you are. I wasn't going to say anything. Bruce Crozier was arguing about a 4-lane highway for at least 20 years. You're going to go get it done. A hospital, we just went through that. We're still fighting with a number of people in the city of Windsor to have the hospital where it is. You want to have another one. I'd love to have it here, as like Council Vogt says. Why beat your head against the wall, Ernie, is all my comment is. You know, that's all that's happening. People have tried and tried. You're Ernie Lamont, the bigger man. I respect everything you say and do. You know that from the past, long time ago. But that's not everybody. You know, like, I'm not going any further. There are problems with this, and I have to agree with what everybody else is saying, except we're too short. Those two come back, they're going to view this. They're going to hear your report. They're going to get these things that you've given us tonight. They're going to view it on the tape. Come Thursday, it will be telecast to everyone. When they get back here, they'll see everything. We can't stop you from coming back here again and making another presentation. We can't. I don't think it would do you any benefit, but that's up to you. You know,
Wait.
You know, I still have the floor here. Like I said, you can come back. We can't stop you. But I wouldn't recommend it to you because when these people see this, I don't know if we're going to discuss it. We'll find out what the motion is going to be made. And you can make a couple comments back to what I have just said if you would like, and then we're going to go back to Councillor Bondi for her motion. Go ahead, Ernie.
Well, Mayor, what I want to say to you and the city council here and all the administration, you've got to give me a chance to come back with all city council here and to allow me to speak one more time. And listen here very carefully. We don't need a mega hospital in Windsor on Lausanne Road. We need a hospital in Essex, and we need one on the Grace site on University and Crawford. That's what we need in Windsor. Remember one thing, Essex is in the middle of this whole county. and the hospital is necessary in Essex. One in Leamington, one in Essex, one in Windsor on Crawford, University in Crawford. Then we got two beautiful hospitals with qualified doctors and staff in each hospital.
Okay, I got to stop you again right there. We have already committed to having that hospital right where it is. Everyone in the county gave those people that decided where it would be, and like Councilor Vogt said, the town of Essex wanted it right here, and they said, this is where it's going. We're not going to buck that now like a lot of people in the city of Windsor are because they want it right downtown. Never mind about us people. We're not, as long as I have a vote, I'm not going to buck where that hospital's going, whether it's you or my brother or my sister that wants to build one in Essex. I'm not bucking that because we have already promised to support wherever that organization, that committee, put it. So with that, I'm going to go to Councilor Bondi.
So that's all I want from you, Mayor, is are you going to allow me to come back and speak to all city council
Ernie,
and
you
yourself
can't.
and
You can't.
administration?
I cannot stop you. We can't stop you from coming back here. You can come back
But
here.
I
I've
want a
said
yes answer to go to Queens Park and OLG.
that. No, you're
I
not
wanna
getting that
bring-
tonight. I don't think. You're going to hear right now, we make a motion as to what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay. Councilor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I left my mic on. I just want to make a motion to receive the presentation tonight. I think we can't make any major decisions tonight, so that's all.
Okay, we have a mover of receipt. And Deputy Mayor Melange supports. Comments? Councilor Oakes?
Can we add to that motion that Ernie has the right to come back? I like to believe we're a transparent council. I like to believe we'll hear him out, whether you agree or disagree with him. He should have the right to speak, and I'm asking council to allow him to return, but we're going to limit you, Ernie, if you don't mind me saying it, to a 10-minute presentation about the hospital, the casino, and the bus route. But I would support you coming back for a 10-minute presentation. You have the right to speak, and I don't want
Okay.
to take that away from you.
Okay, if we can just hang on. Our clerk, Mrs. Hunter, is checking something up that she just,
CAO.
oh yes, that's right. Clerk's on my right. Our CAO, that's right. Thank you, Counselor. She's just looking up something in the rules. She just mentioned it to me, but she wants to be able to read it to everyone. Okay. Okay, I just found out that Councilor Vokes is allowed to ask you to put that in there, make a change to the mover and the seconder.
At this point, I don't think a friendly amendment would help the motion. I just want to receive the presentation, and if council, if he it comes up as a delegation on our agenda, he comes up as a delegation on our agenda. But the motion stands as it is.
Further to that, here's some information for all of us in council.
Through you, Your Worship, based on the procedural bylaw, if the delegation has been to council and has presented his thoughts on something, then he cannot come back and speak on the matter again. So if there is a desire to have Mr. Lamont come back, then it would be necessary for either you to make that part of this resolution or allow him to speak at the date that you consider the matter.
Okay, so do we all have that? Like, if they don't allow this, Councilor Vokes, he can come here and one of us could make the motion, second it, and have him come to speak again. So, Councilor Bondi, we're back to you with your motion. Leave it the same? Okay. So, questions to the motion? Councilor Vokes.
Ernie, I want to, there, obviously in terms of the regulations and the procedures of the council, you can't really come back and talk on the same issue again. You had your chance, irrelevant to the density of council here tonight. But with that being said, I want to hear your idea about the casino. I do. I want you to call me. And I want to talk to you about the casino at County Road 8 and number 3. Just the casino. There's no reason we can't do that. We can start the lobby. Great revenue, great job source, great tourist attraction, and it's a good idea.
Point of order, Councilor
Sure,
Folks.
yep.
To the motion. We're just talking about the
Okay.
motion right now, which is.
I just want to
Yep,
Ernie,
okay, I
call
think
me,
he got
Ernie.
the message, but
I just
he
don't
got
want
enough
to.
through.
Okay, thank
Yep,
you.
Okay. Anything further to the motion? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Lamont. If you want to come back here again some night and you're sitting in the crowd, is what we just heard, you're sitting in the crowd, a council member say, oh, there's Ernie Lamont. He probably wants to, and we get a seconder and council allow you to speak to this again.
I can speak on the casino one more time and with all the council people here?
Well, I guess you could. If we permit you, like in the crowd. There's a couple of gentlemen back here. They're not on the agenda. But if they talked to a council member previously and said, hey, I've got an issue, could you get me on? Then a motion would be made that Omar would be able to speak. It gets seconded and voted. If we as a council say yes, then he can come out of the crowd and speak. Okay? And that's what's going to happen with you now.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Randy.
Yep.
Thank you very much, everybody,
Have a great night.
and administration.
Okay, Ernie, have a good one.
Your Worship, our second presentation this evening is Tamison Dowie and Pat Mailing, and they're here to bring to council tonight concerns on behalf of the Irwin Avenue residents.
Welcome, ladies. As soon as Mr. Lamont. You've been here before, so you know what to do at that microphone. You just have to push the purple button.
Button, there we go.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Your Worship and members of council. I'm going to be brief. I find they like that when I say it. But I do want to give you a little history about Irwin Avenue to start. I don't know if council's aware of why Irwin Avenue is there. Irwin Avenue is there because Talbot Road used to be a private road, and you had to pay a toll to bring your wagon into town and sell your goods or leave, go to Cottam. So the good citizens of Essex didn't like that. So they started cutting through the woods there to avoid the toll, which was up at where Talbot and Gottsville Town line is. And that's why there's an Irwin Avenue. So to bring us to the 21st century, unfortunately, the same thing's happening again. And it seems that since we've put in 2 traffic lights on Talbot, everyone's decided that it's a lot easier to cut down Irwin Avenue and mostly going toward Cottam, going east. And we've noticed, Pat and I and our neighbors, that we've got a lot of increase in traffic. And unfortunately, those people, because they're cutting through, are moving at a rather rapid rate. And that's occurring on a street that's rather narrow. Councillor Vokes was telling me that he believes that roads are supposed to be 16 feet wide, and it's only 15 and a half feet wide. We've got no shoulders, no curbs, no sidewalks. So even working in your yard or walking along the street is difficult. And actually, cars coming in the opposite direction, really, it's a bit treacherous. They usually have to pull off onto the side. So, and there's no shoulder. So we thought maybe we would ask our neighbors what they thought about this issue, if they felt maybe something could be done. And we composed a little survey that I believe you have a copy of. And we've compiled the results for you. We just brought that to you tonight because we wanted to have it be current for you. And so we just wanted to bring this issue to council and get your thoughts and hopefully some action. I don't know if, Pat, do you want to just sort of review the results? She was kind enough to summarize them for us.
I'll just follow up on the safety concerns, the summary of the questionnaire submitted by the residents, what they were in favor of. 90% were in favor of widening the street, 90% were in favor of adding shoulders and curbs, 80% were in favor of reducing the speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour, 90% were in favor of adding sidewalks, and only 30% were in favor of making it a one-way street from Talbot. Other suggestions and concerns expressed by the residents: better street lighting. There is definitely a higher volume of traffic due to the installation of the traffic light at Fairview and Talbot. These drivers seem to be the worst speeders as opposed to the residents of Irwin Avenue, and many are not aware of the dangerous curve towards the end of the road approaching Talbot Road. The residents also expressed their fear of mowing their lawn or pulling weeds beside the roadway, as cars generally do not move over or slow down for our safety. Parking is particularly a problem. Vehicles either park 6 feet onto our lawn or park 6 feet into the street, creating even less area for 2 cars to pass or pedestrians to walk around those cars that are parked there safely. Most parents do not allow their children to ride their bicycles on the street for safety reasons. Sidewalks are a must, as the Catholic School Board recently eliminated busing from Irwin Avenue to Holy Name of Jesus School on Fairview Avenue. The staff from the daycare also regularly walk with multiple children down Irwin Avenue. There is a definite possibility for disaster. The line of children could be wiped out by a speeding vehicle coming around the corner near the church, not realizing what lies ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies, that's ready for questions or comments? Okay,
I
Councilor
wanted
Bundy.
to thank quite a few of our neighbors came today, so I wanted to
Yeah,
thank
I
them.
see a
for
few of
coming.
them up there. Good. Councilor Bundy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think before council really talks, I'd love to hear from our Director of Infrastructure, Chris Nepsey, on this issue. If, on this street, compared to how wide this street is compared to other streets, my question to you, Mr. Nepsey, is can shoulders and curbs exist at the same time? I'm surprised by some of your answers, because my ward is Harrow, right? And people in Harrow do not want sidewalks, because with sidewalks comes along shoveling the sidewalks, right? Or you get fined. And people in Harrow also do not want curbs, because when you have curbs, you cannot park anymore. So I don't know if shoulders and curbs can exist, and if they can, how? Just a couple of those questions there, please.
Mr. Nepsey?
Through your worship, yeah, typically right off.
And I think it's important before you respond. Were there any plans in the near future to do any of these what would you call it?
Upgrades.
Upgrades to this
I
street?
think Mr. Nepsey will address those right now. Chris, thanks.
You're welcome. Through your worship. Right off the get-go, I guess a cursory review of Irwin, the road itself is in fair condition. The road traveling service, compared to the rest of the roads within the municipality, including Harrow and Colchester, the road is in fair to good condition. With respect to shoulders and curbs, no, that's not something you have. You don't have shoulders and curbs. So it really comes down to budget deliberations. There is a lot of need within the municipality, and how that piece of pie gets cut up is entirely up to council. It was not on the radar for any improvements anytime soon. Irwin, what I consider Irwin North, the section from Arthur to Bryan, would be in a higher need in terms of road condition, in terms of storm sewer works, and in terms of water main. When we do full-blown reconstruction, we try and marry those services together, so there's cost savings. Jenner was done that way, Fairview was done that way, South Talbot was done that way. With respect to the section of Irwin you're talking about, the storm sewer, we've had no issues, knock on wood. Sanitary, we've had no issues, knock on wood. There's been no flooding on Irwin. I think we had one, but it was a sump pump problem with all the flooding we've had in past years. The water main's in decent condition. Yes, there is no sidewalks and there are no trails. I think we'd have to look at really what the need is there now. Is it a sidewalk? Is it a multi-use trail? Is it both? When we were looking at the designs for Irwin North, we talked about a multi-use trail to connect Fairview to the to the shoppers area, to that plaza area, in order to move people and get them, the cyclists and those users off of Talbot. Does that extend now down the rest of Irwin? Questions to be discussed, I guess. Is there a speeding problem? I don't know. As far as, we've been through this on Walnut. There was a perceived speeding problem on Walnut, and it ended up being only 6 people out of 80 people that used the Walnut on the weekend were traveling over 50 kilometers an hour. So that's something we can set up. We can set up to get the data. Is there a speeding problem? I'm not aware of an accident problem there on that corner or any, the 90-degree bend. It's going to come down to money and what council desires. But it's definitely all something that we can look at. I would recommend pushing it to the 2018 budget deliberations. I can get some estimates for you as far as sidewalks, trails, full-blown road reconstruction, and we can hash it out with the rest of the needs of the municipality.
That, sir? You okay? Yes. Ms. Bunny? Okay, thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Malash?
Thank you, through your worship. So I agree that, there's probably some safety issues that need to be addressed here, and sooner rather than later. I would suggest that we ask our police department to have the sign put up, the speeding sign, that collects the data for us, so that we have some good data. It sounds like the residents are okay with a 40-kilometer-an-hour zone. I'm not sure what our rules are for setting a 40-kilometer-an-hour zone, but it's a residential street. There's no businesses on the street. We don't want it to be used as a thoroughfare. Perhaps changing the street to a 40-kilometer-an-hour zone would be a good idea to slow the speed down. It's not necessarily going to slow the speed down. On roads where we have changed the speed limit, people still go the same speed. It's whether or not there's enforcement or not that really makes the difference. But I think the speed sign is where it all starts. It gives us some good data. It'll tell our police department whether or not there is some serious speeding down there and what kinds of speeds and maybe what times of day that they should be setting up radar, if they want to set up some radar, to give people the idea. I'm not sure if it can be considered a community safety zone or not, but that may be another way of doing it. If it's a community safety zone, the speed fines are doubled. So hopefully it would click in those persons' minds that are doing the speeding, saying, hey, you know what, maybe I shouldn't take the risk here. It doesn't always work that way either. I've seen it in other areas where we've tried that and it hasn't worked, but that's maybe something else that can happen. I would say a sidewalk, more than anything, perhaps, is something that could perhaps come up on the priority list quicker than maybe the road construction, based on what our Director of Infrastructure is telling us. But maybe again at budget time, I can see us, we hash out the priorities of different roads at that point in time. So I can see where perhaps this roadway maybe could be given some more priority. I don't want to give you false hopes and say that it would happen in 2018 or anything like that. But the safety thing is what really gets to me here. So, maybe we can put it in the queue based on what you've brought to our attention. I believe it probably wasn't even in the queue for quite some time, based on the information we've just received from administration saying the road's in pretty good condition compared to other roads in the community. And I'm not just talking about Essex Center, I'm talking about the whole town, so it's quite a large area. So it could be a number of years before the road would be reconstructed. So at least perhaps maybe we can start looking at a sidewalk. Can't say that it would happen in 2018. I know our budget going into 2018 is pretty tight already. We've already had some reviews. But at least, like I said, it could possibly get into the queue where something would happen sooner rather than later. But sorry, I can't offer you the instant answer that gives you what you want.
The first home we built on Irwin Avenue, in 1989, I was on a committee, and all we were able to do is get the street paved. So they spent a total of $40,000 at that point. These homes are worth between $300,000 to $800,000 on that street. So you're thinking of all the revenue that's coming in through your tax base. And if you look at all the other new areas, Tully Meadows, different areas, you see the wider streets, and the curbs and the sidewalks, where we don't have any of that.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Nipsey, Director of Infrastructure and Development, has comments.
Through your worship, thank you. That's definitely something we typically do when we have issues that we hear of speeding complaints. We contact the OPP, we request that they up their presence. Typically, the speeding problem is a presence-related problem, not necessarily a lot of times it's the residents on the street themselves. So when you talk about, I caution council, when you talk about community safe zones and lowering the speed limit to 40 kilometers, you're impacting your neighbors, not necessarily the transient traffic. It's usually a smaller percentage than it is of the people that actually live there. So that's something to think about when you're questioning that. The other thing is, any urban roads in town, I don't have to sign 50. If we change the speed limits, then you end up putting signs throughout the road, and there's a certain amount that we have to do, and then there's pushback for signs in yards and sight lines and whatnot. So it's just something to consider, and it's something that we can bring up. But first of all, we'll definitely contact the OPP. We'll request that they up their presence. We'll get in the queue for their speed traffic trailer. In addition, we'll look at putting our traffic counters out, which register traffic counts and speeds as well, so we can get a real idea of what's going on, because as we talked at the last council meeting, what may be perceived as going fast might be 45 kilometers an hour, might be 40 kilometers an hour, but when you're sitting and going for a walk or cutting your front lawn, it might seem like they're zooming by. So it's definitely something that we can look into, and I'll have that data as well as some preliminary pricing for you to deliberate during budgets.
Thank you very much, sir. Councillor Vokes. No. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Obviously recognizing you're probably one of our higher taxed areas in Ward 1, and we have to respect that. We got to understand that, which we do, by the way, just for the record. But with all that being said, is I will make this a priority on my council wish list. Traditionally, our Treasury Department sends out to all the council what their interests are, what they'd like to see happen in their communities, and we try to figure out and discover some way to work it into our budget deliberations. This will be a priority with me, to enter that into the budget deliberations, to get that job done for you, if we can make it happen. So the question is, when you leave here now, is when are the budget deliberations going to occur, and how long do you have to wait for the answer, right? We need to know that. Do we have a tentative time frame? Geez, I keep looking at Donna, but it's really Jeff now. Jeff, do we have a tentative time frame of when we would be starting our budget deliberations? And I want to go on record that this, to be entered this into those discussions.
Mr. Morrison, please.
Through the chair, the first budget deliberation is scheduled for October 30th in Harrow.
So that's good news. So tentatively, we could know, if everything goes well by the end of the year, if you're a successful candidate in budget deliberations, to make these opportunities happen for you. So it was fruitful coming here. You can say what you want. You're not walking out with a sidewalk on a new road, but you got some vision now, and you got some direction as to where it goes. And
Thank you for that. Finish, Councillor Vogt?
yes, thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. I've been informed that I should not be allowing you people, every time someone says something, to rebut. You made your presentation, and I'm kind of like that. I'm easy. The words, I'm easy. And until I'm told, hey, let's get back to your job, do it properly. So I'm not going to allow it right now. So anyways, I have a question to Mr. Nipsey with regards to the statement of our road being 15 and a half feet wide when it's supposed to be 16. Is that true? And what happens then?
Through your worship, that's something I'll definitely have to get out there and check. Definitely in moving forward in terms of new construction, that's less than what we would construct. In terms of a road that's been there and been grandfathered in, is it ideal as far as moving forward? No. In terms of what to do with it, I believe it's a grandfathered type situation where it's not something that you would build new, but it's what you have And until you move forward on it, then one point to kind of ponder on, I guess, is a narrower road is a traffic calming measure to reduce the speed. And that's something that, in terms of practice and design, when you look at traffic calming measures, you look at narrowing the road to reduce that speed. And you know, I mean, I've been out there enough, I've been out there quite a bit the last few weeks. When you do come across another car, you do slow down because the road's narrow. Not that, so.
One other point I had to make was, when I drove down the street tonight, just before I came here, about 5:30, I noticed the boulevard. There isn't any boulevard on either side, and then there is a large area. The simplest thing, I think would be the simplest and the quickest thing, is to take our grader, and if these people were okay with it, take some of their lawn away and make that boulevard where there isn't any. There's might be this much from the road to sand or dirt, you know. That way, they wouldn't be cutting their grass that close to the road. There are sections where it is wide, but there's a sections where it could be just this much. So that would be one of my recommendations when we discuss this. And anyways, okay, Councilor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If the time is right, I'd like to make a motion to receive.
How's the
The
time?
presentation.
Thank you. Motion receives.
To be
supported by-
discussed in budget.
Oh.
To be received and discussed in the 2018 budget deliberations.
Okay, clerk has that, and supported by Councilor Vogt. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And our first one, they said, is the 30th, so, in Arrow. Then there'll be another one back here in our...
There is an OPP that lives on the street that sees the fast cars.
Item 8 on the agenda, 8.1, is Finance and Business Services Report 2017-08. That said report be received and that council supports the elimination of the vacancy rebate program and requests that Essex County Council seek approval from the Minister of Finance to enact a regulation to eliminate this program for the 2018 taxation year.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Malash moves, and supported by Councilor Bondi. Any questions, Councilor Bondi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe this question would be directed to our CEO, Ms. Hunter. If the chamber wants to write a letter in support, they would send it to Essex County Council then? If the chamber and if the Essex BIA were in support of this as well?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, they would.
Okay. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
8.2 is Economic Development Officer Report 2017-05. That the report entitled Vacant Industrial Property in the Town of Essex be received for council information purposes.
Motion by Councilor Bondi, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
8.3 is Fire Report 2017-005. That said report be received, that council approves the restructuring of the existing auxiliary hiring program, that council hired the last auxiliary firefighter located at Station 3 as permanent personnel, that council approves a new hiring program using the candidate testing services described therein, and that council authorize any savings related to the auxiliary program be used to fund the transition in 2017, with any remaining funds to be transferred to reserve.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Malash, supported by Councilor Vogt. Questions? Oh, Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, to our fire chief, Mr. Arnell, Chief Arnell. Can you just briefly go through that national fire selection test and just give us a brief overview of what's different from what we're doing currently?
Thank you, Rick.
What would be the reasons we'd want to do that kind of thing?
Through you, Your Worship. Today, we kind of devise our own program, and it's kind of a mishmash of different things. The candidate testing service gives us the ability to have a third party test our people. We have a national fire select test. We just went through a captain promotion process and went through and had these individuals try it, and they thought the testing was good. So what it is a testing program that's done North America wide, and we're using it. And what they do is it gives you an idea of where the person is. So in a selection process, which the last time I believe in Essex, they had 50 or 60 people apply for 5 positions. This will help us to get the selection process down to a manageable size. As well, there's a medical testing and a clinical. So those 3 attributes will give us a candidate, and that way there, from there, and their resume will give us the ability to determine who the best candidate is. Now, the provincial government is looking at changing the FPPA, the Fire Protection Prevention Act, and make mandatory training in the province of Ontario for firefighters. We're already there, but that testing today is NFPA, National Fire Protection Act. It's a testing, and if you went to a community college, would cost you in the vicinity of $10,000 to $15,000. We're going to provide this for the individuals in the year after we hire them, and then they got to pass, and so for the money they're investing, we're giving them a great return on their dollars. So, and we want the right people. We want to get the people with the right mindset. Today, this candidate testing service has a little over 30 full-time career fire departments in the province using it, and there's somewhere around 10 or 15 volunteer departments using it. So it's growing within the province, and this is kind of the way that, it's very similar to the way the police hire. This is set up exactly the way the police would hire officers.
So thank you very much. It gives the general public an idea of what's involved and the reason why we're moving. I think going to a more standard process, again, relieve some of the pressures from our own personnel. We're a very small fire department. We don't have the personnel to be able to properly do it without spending all kinds of extra overtime and time that they just don't have trying to pick the best candidates and so on. This also does it more impartial from just saying, oh, this is so-and-so, I'll take them type thing. It stops that kind of thing from happening. And you actually get, and I'm not saying that happens in all the cases, but it's more impartial and gives everybody a fair opportunity. Just cost-wise, just wanted to be transparent. I just want to know what this means as an increase to the budget if we go this route.
Through your worship, this is no increase to the current budget. What we're doing is the auxiliary program today, we allow 5 firefighters at each station to be auxiliaries, and those individuals aren't allowed to do firefighting operations as the regular firefighters because they're auxiliaries. So what we're going to do is still keep the complement at 21 personnel, which we have today, but no auxiliaries, and the money from the auxiliary program, we're going to reinvest to restructure, and every 4 to 6 years, we anticipate that the provincial average is hiring about 6 people every 4 to 6 years. This will fund training, hiring, purchasing the PPE and all the protective gear and everything every 4 to 6 years. So the program is actually going to fund itself over the next lifespan of the budget.
Thank you. One further. So if we have somebody at an instant that leaves the program, leaves being a volunteer fire department, I know further here we have a couple of persons on the agenda that will be leaving station number 3, retire. How quickly can we replace those persons without having an auxiliary to pull from?
Through you, your worship, where we would be, it would take us, we would go through the hiring process, and within a year, we'd have people in place. So, and right now, we still have to move to, everyone needs to be trained to NFPA 1001, level 1 and 2. So we're working on doing that. Kudos to the town of Essex. You were doing this even prior to me coming. So we have it in process, so we're working on it. We have a program. So within an 8-month time frame, we can have people, and we can push it a little harder and have people train a little harder and get them sooner. So, but anywhere from, 6-8 months to a year, we can have people in place. So what we have is currently 63 firefighters across the municipality, and if we're short in a station, we would just bring another station in to assist during those times until we're able to get the complement up where we need it.
Excellent. Thank you for those answers.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? We've got it. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
8.4 is infrastructure and development, 2017-11. That's said report entitled Banner Poles Harrell Center be received, and that council identify the site location for one set of banner poles in Harrell Center.
I wonder who's going to move this. Anyone?
Well, I'll move the report, but I think council should have a discussion about
Okay,
where is
we can have
best
this,
located,
yep.
correct? Right.
Yep.
There's 4 options,
Yep.
so we have to decide on.
Supported by, move, receive. Do we have a seconder to receive this report? Deputy Mayor Malage. Now, questions, Council Bondi. You would like to find out where we're going to put it. Could I go to Mr. Nepsey and/or Mr. Sweet to find out the best possible spot from staff?
Through your worship, each of these 4 locations provided are adequate. I leave it to council to determine. I think they all have their pros and cons. I'm not sure the direction that council would like to see or what audience they're looking to hit. As far as, if you're thinking Queen Street or King Street, depending if you're trying to get more traffic coming from, Windsor area and maybe the Amherstburg area coming that way. That to me would then lead you to number 4. My issue with number 3 and number 2 are definitely they're within more of a residential section. Again, that's why I'm letting you pick as far as where they go. As far as getting them installed, we would have to do soil boring samples at those spots, determine the soil types before we determine the footing type. Harrow's known to have a little bit of quicksand here and there. We'd have to make sure that they could be erected, but we've talked to suppliers as far as pole suppliers go. They're lined up and ready to order once we get the okay tonight. So some info for you.
Council Bondi, seems how this is your ward and you're there more than any of us. Where do you think the most traffic comes from? Kingsville to Amherstburg, Amherstburg to Kingsville, Windsor to Harrow, Harrow to Windsor? Like, we need to place this where outsiders seeing it. Like, we locally know what's going on. It's the outside people that we want to be able to have them see these signs or this sign. So I'll come to you and your recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For some reason in my mind, I always thought that the direction from council 3 or 4 years ago when we started this was that we were to put one on Walker Road first or Queen Street first. Now, whether we go with the northern one or the southern one is really up to council. I kind of see merit in both. I kind of prefer the one on Munger just because I feel like if it's by the Philip Ferris drain, people might be going too fast. I know it's still a low speed limit, but I feel like they might not be concentrating enough. When they're in Munger, when they come to Munger, they're kind of like, whew. Also, another option for council is I can take this to the chamber, which is meeting Wednesday morning. We can discuss with the chamber. We're just putting it off one more meeting. I don't think it's the end of the world. I can bring it back to the first meeting in November, if council wishes. Councillor Snively might also have some thoughts. The newly elected Ward 3 rep might also have some thoughts. So maybe this isn't a time to make a decision tonight.
Mr. Nepsey?
Through your worship, Councillor Bondi, if that's a meeting you'd like me to attend, to provide any input or backup, please let me know, and I can be of assistance that way.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Malash.
Just for my 2 cents, I think further out myself, but I agree Walker Road. But 6 to 1, half a dozen to another, really. But for me, further out I think would be better. And you might want to talk to the Harrow Fair Board too. I think that's somebody from there. They're one of the people that would support using those poles year after year as well. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Bundy?
So then if I may, Mr. Mayor, can we table the motion till the next meeting? We've already made a motion, though. Okay, withdraw it and table it till the November, is it 6th meeting?
Oh, it is table. Thank you very much.
Item 9 on the agenda, any reports from our youth member, Ava Hoffman?
Hey, welcome, young lady. It's not on.
Okay, I got it. No, I don't have a report tonight, so.
And then on anything we brought up already?
No, I'm good.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
Item 10, any updates from County Council this evening?
No, sir.
11.1 on the agenda, correspondence to be received, that the correspondence listed in this agenda item be received and shared with the community using suitable methods of communication.
Moved by Councillor Bundy, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions to any of them? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 12, committee meeting minutes, that the meeting minutes listed in this agenda item be received and adopted as circulated.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Malash, supported by Councillor Bundy. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
As added to new business this evening, agenda item 14 is the Chief Administrative Officer speaking to council on the planning process for the future constituent open houses.
And I'll go right to our CAO, Mrs. Bonnie.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to talk to council a little bit about, we had talked about having the fall open house houses in, like, we had the 4 ward meetings last spring, and we talked about repeating something for the late fall of 2017. Before we try to put out some dates out there, I wanted to put some thought into whether council wanted to still hold 4 separate meetings, keeping in mind that last year in Ward 1, we only had 12 people attend. Ward 2, we had 1 person attend. Ward 3, we had 11 people attend. And Ward 4, we had 16. So one of the options that you may want to consider is combining 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and having 2 meetings, one in Ward, at the arena in Ward 4, and another maybe at either the McGregor Community Center or the Shaheen Room here in Essex Center. The other option is to have one that encompasses a larger room with 4 areas that are set out so that people can come into the meeting and meet with their councilors, but they can also go around and meet with other councilors if they so choose. I just want to get some idea of if that's an option before I move forward and try and set some dates for this.
Do we have any comments, Deputy Mayor Malash?
I'm going to suggest that maybe 2, one in Essex Center and 1 in Harrow Center. And I think, at the arena community centers, that's someplace that most people would expect to see meetings occur. I think Hero and Colchester South is a natural fit, Ward 3 and 4, and that quite often happens in any case. With Ward 2, which happens to be my ward, we had one person show up for the meeting last time, and I would suggest that you probably have the same going forward. So if I think if somebody's got a large enough issue that they want to have covered, that they would make the trip to Essex.
Okay, there's one comment. Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. You mean I have to share? I liked mine last time, sorry. I think I had pretty good attendance there. I work really hard to get attendance at Ward 4 events. Right now, actually, I'm doing a lit drop to each household in my ward with a feedback form and a letter to each resident. I wouldn't mind sharing with Ward 3, but, and I think it is a good idea, and I think we're running out of time, right? And I appreciate administration's time at night, and I know that 4 nights was a lot, right? But those Ward 3 people better show up right away, or they're going to be standing room only. Because I'm stacking it again. We had a great turnout for the Meet the Candidates night in Ward 3. So I think it's a good sign of the times that the people in Ward 3 and Ward 4, Harrow and Colchester, are getting really interested and really involved. So I'm okay with sharing, but just because of all the factors like I just said.
Good thing you're okay with it, because I was going to recommend that we share Harrow with Colchester, in Colchester, because they did have a great turnout in Harrow the other night for their, Meet the Candidates night. That was excellent turnout. Thanks for anyway saying you will share with them. So, are we going that route? Oh, Mrs. Hunter, our CAO.
Through your worship, what we'll do tomorrow is we'll send out some tentative dates. Right now, I was looking at November 25th and 26th, but we'll send them out just to see who has that availability, and we'll provide further details at that point. And I will go with the two meetings, or the 2 open houses. Three, we'll probably look at 27th, 28th.
Okay. Thank you for that. So,
Under 15.1 on tonight's agenda is a notice of motion that was originally presented at the October 2nd council meeting and is being brought forward for consideration this evening. That the motion is that administration be requested to prepare a report on erecting a stop sign at the intersection of Hanlon and Eiler Streets, and this notice of motion has been moved by Councillor Vokes.
okay, support. Councillor Vogt?
Thank you, Worship. Actually, I'm going to strike this from the records of the agenda because the issue has been resolved by our infrastructure director in terms of calming the traffic in that area by doing the same thing as we did uptown with a pedestrian crosswalk highlighting that. So that certainly helps the situation, and we'll see how that goes. Thank you. If I could, though, I would like to add a notice of motion for the next meeting. I'll take.
Do that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Go
I
ahead.
just want to add a notice of motion. I certainly want to discuss with council about our healthcare situation in our region.
So through the chair, Councillor Vokes, if you could state your motion.
I want
Just
to
a
put a
discussion.
motion forward that council has discussions about the healthcare in our region.
It's,
So, Councillor Vokes, as part of your motion, is there an action item that you're asking?
Yes, I certainly would want to. The truth is, I'm going to be lobbying council to have the health minister come to our council. I don't mean send a letter, I don't mean correspond, I mean, I will be requesting in body
Yeah.
their attendance.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And, oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Sure,
sorry,
go
but
ahead.
I just, never mind, I'll do reports from council.
Okay, thanks.
And lastly, Your Worship, just as a reminder, 15.2 on the agenda is a notice of motion originally presented at the October 2nd meeting by Councillor Snively. This will be brought forward for consideration at the November 6th meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Item 16 on the agenda, any reports from council this evening?
We're going to start with Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I want to mention to our listening audience and also to our administration and council members. Council members have already received an invitation, but the Heritage Committee, Municipal Heritage Committee, along with the AIRS Group, the Harrow Early Immigrant Research Society, are having a joint event on Thursday, October 26th, 6:30 p.m. at the Harrow Community Center at the Harrow Arena. There'll be refreshments provided, but we're going to have Seamus Gunn, who is a very well-known storyteller in our region, and he's going to be talking about the road to Confederation and also some of the history of Harrow. And it should be a very entertaining evening. Most of us here have already know who Seamus is and have heard him tell his stories, but he tells it with a sense of humor and gives you some great indication as to what life was like back at that time and the whole story so involved. So if you can, please mark that on your calendar, Thursday, October 26th, 6:30 p.m. at the Harrow Community Center. Come on out and have some fun and learn something at the same time.
Thank you for that. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Worship. Two things. One is the Councillor Snively in terms of 15.2. Somebody from administration may want to get a hold of him because he's asking that restricting vehicles over half a tonne. That's 1,000 pounds. That's 1,013 pounds. A van is 4,000 pounds and my truck is 7,500 pounds. So if we were past that, nobody could travel. So he's got to change that for the purpose of the agenda. And secondly, is I would ask council that, that we send a personal invitation out to Lionel Sanders from Harrow. As you may or may not know, Lionel Sanders once again put the town of Essex on the world map. He placed second in the triathlon in Hawaii, where you swim 4 kilometers, you bike 180, and you run 42. And he placed second in the world competitiveness. So I really would like council in the town of Essex to invite him here, recognizing his endeavors and his successes. And I would like the mayor and Doug as obviously Parks and Rec director, along with the mayor, to present him with some type of certificate from the town acknowledging his endeavors.
And it's not a topic to be voted on, but thank you very much for that. That's for sure. Like big write-up in this paper. Thanks. Mr. Sweet, you'd like to say something?
Your Worship, I know it's through council reports, but just to add to Councillor Vokes, we have been working with Mr. Sanders in terms of the gateway signs. He's approved the design. He's tentatively gave us a date of this Friday. However, as Councillor Vokes has mentioned, he had the race this past Saturday. We're waiting to hear back, so that could be a great opportunity where we'll have them. So I'll keep council up to date, but we're waiting for Mr. Sanders to give us that date.
Okay. If I read the paper correctly, you said he wouldn't be able to walk for a week now. So, don't ask him to come any place because he said he wouldn't be able to walk for a week. Thank you. Councilor Vokes.
So Doug, is that in terms of the entry? Okay, yeah, that would be a great way to acknowledge him here if we could make that happen. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to one last time here, I will on my social media account, but remind the residents that there's a by-election going on. October 23rd, you can vote all day from 10 till 8. There are several locations in our community for the polls. If you did not get your voter card, please call the clerk's department at 519-776-7336, extension 1100. And if you have any other questions regarding voting, also call the clerk's office. I don't know if our clerk is able to add anything, but I just thought that I should get that out there one more time. That's my report.
You did a fine job, I was told. Thanks. The only thing I think I need to remind us about is Citizen of the Year Award for Ward 1. That is a veteran, Tom Robson, and it is, I'll let you people know that it is at the Legion this year, not at the Holy Names Catholic Church Hall. It is at the Legion on October the 28th. That's a Saturday night. So Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 201, Saturday, October the 28th. Citizen of the Year, Tom Robson Party. Thanks.
And through agenda item 17, any additional announcements this evening?
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to say congratulations to one of our firefighters in Ward 4. Scott Shaw is retiring, and I just want to thank him for 9 years of service.
Thank you for that. Just further to our triathlete, athlete and a half. I was at the KSC party the other night, Saturday awards banquet, and I know they, along with one of the other organizations in Harrow Center, are going to be contacting us, the town, to do something further with regards to Lionel. So that's going to be coming up. Thank you very much.
(18.1) on the agenda, bylaws for third and final reading this evening. 1644 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of agreement between the town and the Essex Community Historical Research Society.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? All in favor? Carries.
1645 to confirm the proceedings of the October 2nd regular council meeting.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
18.2 on the agenda, bylaws that require a first, second, third, and final reading this evening. 1646 being a bylaw to appoint a director, finance and business services, a treasurer, and a deputy treasurer for the town of Essex.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Melange, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? Favor? Carries.
1647 being a bylaw to approve a road extension cost-sharing agreement.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? All in favor? That carries.
And 1648 being a bylaw to change the composition of the council for the corporation of the town of Essex.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Deputy Mayor Melange. Questions? Favor? Motion carries.
Agenda item 18.3, bylaws for first and second reading this evening. 1649 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of this October 16th regular council meeting.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Melange, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? That carries. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bondi. Everyone have a great evening. All in